Could a single breakthrough on the battlefield, using Ukraine's mysterious new weapon system, change the tide of war in Donbass? On September 25, 2025, under Russian coordination, North Korea sent 87 tanks into the Donbass region. They were supported by artillery spotters and Orlan-10 drones, forming a massive armored column of T-62s, T-72s, BTR-80s, and BMP-2s, all prepared for one mission, to smash through Ukrainian lines, fast and hard. But what they didn't know was that the valley ahead was already a trap. Ukraine had mined every road, mapped every coordinate, and linked its targeting systems to British and French intelligence. When the invasion began, HIMARS rockets, Caesar guns, and FPV drones struck within seconds, turning the advance into pure chaos. But that was only the beginning, because that night, Ukraine unveiled a weapon no one had seen before, fast, silent, and completely autonomous. So what exactly was this secret system? And how did it wipe out an entire armored force in less than an hour? The Silent Valley. At 3:12 a.m., satellite imagery confirmed movement, a massive armored column entering the Donbass Valley under cover of darkness. Their headlights were dimmed. Drones buzzed overhead, guiding them through narrow rural roads. From above, it looked like a standard reinforcement convoy. But on the ground, something felt off. The villages were pitch dark, windows boarded up, roads completely empty. Not a single light, not a single voice. It was too quiet. The tanks rolled forward 3 columns deep, T-62s and T-72s in front, followed by BTRs and BMPs. Each machine fitted with thermal sights and reactive armor. But none of that would matter. For weeks, Ukrainian forces had been preparing this valley. Recon drones had mapped every curve. Special units had marked every choke point. And above them, British satellites and French SIGINT teams were tracking every move. The first missile struck the lead T-90, detonating its ammunition and sending a fireball over 80 feet high. Shockwaves shattered windows half a mile away. Then came the drones. FPV units armed with PG-7VL warheads flew low through treetops, weaving through anti-aircraft fire, targeting the rear convoy. The ambush wasn't designed to stop them entirely, not yet. It was meant to funnel the column into a pre-calculated kill zone. By 10:15 a.m., the Russians reached the southern edge of Novobazin, narrow streets, predictable routes. Ukrainian engineers had pre-wired culverts and intersections with directional anti-tank charges and seismic mines. At 10:22 a.m., AT-90 triggered one. A shaped charge punched through its side armor, igniting internal fuel. The explosion rose 70 feet and disabled 2 nearby BMP-2s. Immediately, PZH-2000s opened fire again, raining shells that tore apart the rear of the column and immobilized 5 more vehicles. Flames erupted from ruptured fuel tanks, while secondary blasts hurled metal shards 200 feet into the air. By 11 a.m., Ka-52 helicopters emerged from low clouds at 155 miles per hour, firing 80mm rockets toward Ukrainian positions. But poor telemetry and terrain masking caused most to miss. Ukrainian Stinger teams, hidden in school basements and garages, fired 4 missiles. One hit a Ka-52's tail rotor, sending it spiraling into a 2-story building. The explosion could be seen half a mile away. By 11:30 a.m., BTR-4E carriers flanked from the east, firing PG-7VR tandem warheads at surviving armor. A BMP-2 was hit through its frontal plate and engulfed in flames. Ukrainian infantry advanced under drone cover. FPVs dropped PG-7VL warheads from 40 feet with pinpoint accuracy, obliterating trench lines and sandbag defenses. Russian troops tried to regroup but were pinned down by constant drone surveillance and shelling. At 12:15 p.m., 2 HIMARS salvos struck a Russian munitions depot 5 miles behind their lines. The blast left a 45-foot crater and sent black smoke 300 feet into the sky. Moments later, 10 FPV drones struck the remaining artillery units, destroying 5 BM-21 Grad launchers before they could reload. By 1 p.m., the offensive had stalled, Russian vehicles trapped in kill zones, hammered by precision fire and drones. Firestorm in the sky, air, and electronic warfare. At 1:10 p.m., Russian BM-30 Smerch launchers, stationed 7 miles north, fired a 12-rocket salvo toward suspected Ukrainian artillery positions. Each 300mm rocket carried cluster warheads with a 100-yard blast radius. Explosions ripped through tree lines, disabling 2 PZH-2000s. Ukraine struck back instantly. From a farm complex 4 miles south, HIMARS fired 4 guided rockets at the BM-30 battery. The impact created twin fireballs 85 feet tall, the blast throwing munitions trucks 40 feet sideways and killing all crew instantly. At 1:25 p.m., a flight of Ukrainian Su-27 jets flew low at 480 miles per hour, deploying radar decoys and chaff. Their purpose masked the approach of Su-30 multirole fighters flying just 200 feet above the ground. Each carried 2 Kh-31P anti-radar missiles, capable of Mach 3 speeds with 200-pound warheads. Russian S-400 systems activated to acquire targets, exactly as Ukraine planned. As soon as radar lock engaged, the Su-30s launched. Within 22 seconds, both Kh-31PS hit mobile NEBO-M radar arrays, engulfing them in flames and throwing one completely off its truck. The blast rose 60 feet high, shattering windows 2 miles away. Simultaneously, a Ukrainian Buk M1 electronic warfare unit jammed the S-400's data links, causing 2 interceptor missiles to veer off and detonate harmlessly. That 4-minute window opened a corridor, through which 22 FPV drones surged toward Russian artillery and logistics. Flying at 70 miles per hour using terrain masking, they struck with surgical precision. 3 Tu-S-19 MSTA self-propelled guns were hit, their turrets blown 35 feet into the air. Explosions ignited nearby grasslands and fuel trucks, sending smoke 200 feet high. At 2:10 p.m., Russian MiG-31 interceptors scrambled from a base 45 miles east, but were intercepted by Ukrainian MiG-29s closing at 620 miles per hour. A short dogfight followed. 1 Ukrainian jet was lost, but 2 MiG-31s disengaged after radar jamming. The turning point: drones, fire, and collapse. Using the distraction, Ukrainian anti-tank teams moved along irrigation canals and fired RPG-29 tandem warheads from under 200 yards. T-90 was hit through its side skirt, exploding instantly, its turret blown back 15 feet. At 2:45 p.m., Ukraine launched a cluster of long-range loitering drones from a hidden forest runway 8 miles west. Each carried a 4B-shaped charge with real-time video link. They quickly located a logistics zone with 6 ammunition trucks and a fuel trailer. At 2:58 p.m., the drones dove. One struck the fuel tanker, triggering a fireball over 320 feet high, collapsing nearby tents and hurling debris deep into the woods. At 3:15 p.m., another HIMARS salvo destroyed a bridge 6.5 miles northeast, right as a convoy of BTR-82A vehicles was crossing. 3 plunged into the river below, their ammo detonating underwater, sending up a 40-foot water plume. By 3:50 p.m., Ukrainian forces controlled both entry roads into Novobazin. By 4 p.m., they had fully encircled the battlefield. Every road, every field pre-measured and mined. The town had become a closed fire trap, where every movement triggered automatic strikes. Ukraine hadn't just stopped the Russian advance. They turned it into a grinding wall of attrition. Novobazin was no longer a battlefield. It was a corridor of silence, marked by burning steel, broken walls, and scorched roads. The aftermath: silence and reflection. The ground was littered with twisted metal, torn armor, shattered optics. Ukrainian soldiers held their perimeter but advanced no further. Medics worked through rubble, applying tourniquets under smoldering beams. Engineers cleared unexploded ordnance and secured bridgeheads against secondary blasts. Drone operators switched from targeting to thermal scanning, searching for survivors. A loudspeaker echoed through the ruins, repeating one message in both Russian and Ukrainian: "If you are injured, do not move. Help is coming." It wasn't a message of dominance. It was one of control and humanity amid destruction. No more shots were fired after 4:30 p.m. What remained was not victory, it was damage. Rail lines severed, roads broken, supply chains halted. But homes burned, and families displaced. Precision didn't erase chaos. For every tank destroyed, a civilian home cracked from shockwaves. For every bridge taken, another neighborhood lost power and water. At 6 p.m., Ukrainian command ordered a full ceasefire, no pursuit, no more shelling. The map was now marked with safe corridors, not targets. The message was clear. This battle had a purpose, but peace must remain the goal. Not to turn more soil into fire, but to remember why it burns. If you found this story valuable, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next in-depth battlefield analysis.